Welcome to Fusion. Huh? Subscribe for better sleep. Take a moment to slow down. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw loosen. Let your hands rest gently at your sides. You're safe here. You're welcome here. You're not in a hurry. There's no need to solve, to plan, or to push. You've arrived in a space made only for rest. A quiet, comforting place that holds you like a gentle wave. Soft, still, and safe. The world can wait. Your breathing softens now. Long, slow breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, in through the nose. Hold and out gently and again, letting your body become heavier as the breath carries tension away. With every exhale, your thoughts begin to settle like falling snow or the soft patter of raindrops on a quiet roof. Let's begin. Tonight, you're going somewhere calm, somewhere cozy, somewhere old and warm and full of stories, a place that exists between memory and imagination. A bookshop, but not just any bookshop, a small, quiet bookshop on the edge of a rainy street, where the windows glow amber and the floorboards creak gently, and the scent of old paper fills the air like incense. This bookshop waits for you, but before we go there, let's continue sinking into softness. Feel your body relax even more. Let the bed beneath you become an extension of your limbs. Let the weight of your thoughts grow lighter, as if they've been placed gently on a shelf. You don't need them now. You don't need to hold anything. Just be. Let the sound of this voice and the imagined rain guide you deeper into calm. Let's go there together now. It's late evening. The sky is dim. A soft drizzle floats down through the street lamps, catching in their golden light. You walk slowly along a narrow road, your coat buttoned up, your shoes gently splashing through shallow puddles. Everything is quiet. Shops are closed. Windows flicker gently with the blue glow of televisions or the amber flicker of candles. And then you see it, tucked between a tailor's shop and an old brick cafe, the bookshop. Its window is fogged slightly from the inside, a warm light glowing behind a small display of hardback books, old postcards, and a crooked little wooden sign that reads, Weatherby and Daughters, Rare Books and Night Stories. You smile, not because you know the place, but because it feels like you do. It feels familiar, like something from a forgotten dream. You push open the door, and a little bell tinkles softly above your head. It smells like cedar, leather, parchment, and rain. The air is warm. Dimly lit lamps hang from the ceiling, each casting a gentle pool of light across the shelves. There is no one else here, just the sound of the rain against the window and the comforting creak of wooden floors beneath your feet. You close the door gently behind you leaving the rain outside, and step forward. The shop is long and narrow, lined with tall wooden shelves that stretch toward the ceiling, books in every direction, some stacked neatly, some leaning, some with paper bookmarks sticking out like little flags from forgotten lands. To your right, a table with an old teapot and two chipped mugs. One still has steam rising from it. You don't question it. This place doesn't need answers, only presence, only rest. You walk further inside, your fingertips brushing lightly along the worn spines of leather-bound journals, titles faded, embossed in gold leaf that still catches the light just so. There's a small chair in the corner, deep green velvet, with a blanket folded on the armrest. You sit. It's softer than you expect. The chair seems to shape itself around you, as if it has been waiting for you for a long time. You rest your head back. The sound of the rain becomes clearer now, as if it has joined you inside, ticking against the windows, dripping down the gutters outside, steady, like breath, like heartbeats, like time, slowing down. A cat appears, soft and gray, paws silent on the wood floor. It doesn't look at you, but it curls up beneath the bookshelf nearest to your chair and sleeps. You smile again, because it feels right. Everything here feels right. This place doesn't ask anything of you. It simply holds you. Here, you are not someone's role. You are not your to-do list, not your notifications, not even your own name. Here, you are just still, like a book, waiting to be opened, a soft story, waiting to be read, slowly, with care. You look to your left, and there, sitting on the table beside your chair, is a book. Its cover is blank, its pages warm to the touch. You open it, and so the story begins. A rainy evening at the old bookshop, the owner appears. You remain seated in the velvet chair, your body heavier, your mind gentler, as if the bookshop itself were breathing slowly up around you, with you. The rain outside continues its soft rhythm, a lullaby composed for no one and everyone. Then, a soft creak. You glance up. From behind one of the tall wooden shelves at the far end of the room, a figure appears. Not suddenly, not dramatically. They arrive as if they've always been here, as if time only just remembered to reveal them. An older woman, silver gray hair pulled loosely into a braid, a long cardigan wrapped around her like a blanket stitched from old stories. She doesn't speak right away. She doesn't need to. She simply smiles, a smile that feels like the answer to a question you didn't know you had. She walks slowly to a counter in the corner, wipes dust off an old kettle, and, without asking, begins preparing tea. Her movements are slow and careful, as if the silence itself were fragile and sacred. You watch her pour water, arrange two mismatched mugs, drop in small herbal leaves from a hand-labeled tin that reads, "Forget me not." She doesn't look at you when she speaks. Her voice is soft, textured like parchment. "You've found the living stories, haven't you?" she says. You nod slowly, not out of obligation, but because you know what she means. She places a mug in front of you, then takes the other to a rocking chair near the window. She sits. The chair creaks once and then sways gently. Outside, the rain taps its fingers on the glass. You sip your tea. It tastes like warmth, like calm, like something your body understands without needing to name. The woman looks out the window and speaks again. This shop, it doesn't belong to anyone, really. It arrives when someone needs it. Just once. Just long enough. You stay quiet, but she seems to hear your unspoken thought. No, you can't stay forever, she adds kindly. But you can rest. You can remember. And when it's time, the door will know. You glance at the door, still there, still closed. But now it somehow feels patient, not looming, just waiting. The woman sips her tea again and looks toward the far wall. The shelves seem taller there, thicker, filled with older, heavier books. There's a section few ever reach, she murmurs. Stories not yet written, memories not yet made. She stands slowly and sets her cup down. Would you like to see them? You hesitate, not out of fear, but reverence. She smiles once more, as if she already knows the answer, then gestures for you to follow. You rise from the velvet chair. Your steps are slower now, not from weariness, but from softness. The shop grows quieter as you move. Each shelf becomes more intricate, each title more abstract. One book reads, "The Day You Realize You Were Enough." Another, "The Hug You'll Give Someday." You pause, and your hand hovers above a deep blue spine titled, "The Night You Slept Without Worry." You take it down. Its cover is soft, like velvet or memory. You don't open it yet. Instead, you follow the woman through a narrow passage tucked between two shelves that curve like arches. It opens into a small back room, stone floor, a low ceiling, candles glowing along the edges of the walls, flickering just enough to feel alive. In the center of the room, a desk, simple, unadorned, but made from a wood so dark it almost gleams. On the desk, a stack of empty journals. Single quill pen rests in an old ink bottle. "This is where they begin," she says. You glance at the blank pages, and somehow you understand. You're not here just to read stories. You're here to write one. You sit at the desk. The candlelight warms your hands. The quill is lighter than you expect, and the moment you press its tip to the page, Words begin to appear, not from you, through you, not in a rush, not in panic, but in flow. And the words say, this is the part of the dream where you realize that you never had to carry it all alone. You pause. A soft breath escapes you. It feels like something inside you just unclenched. The woman speaks once more, her voice now softer than the rain. When this chapter ends, you'll return to sleep and to the place that waits for you there. You look down at the page. It's not blank anymore. It's full, not of plot, not of conflict, just peace and stillness and release. The quill falls gently from your hand. The journal closes itself. You rise once more, and the woman guides you back to the front of the shop. The rain has not stopped, but it no longer matters. You are no longer cold, no longer searching. You are full of quiet, of slowness, of something you can't quite name and don't need to. The velvet chair awaits you. You sit down again, and this time you feel yourself begin to drift, not out of exhaustion, but from softness, from the gentleness of stories, told in whispers and held in the hush of rain. The memory shelf, velvet chair seems even softer now, as if it remembers you, as if it too has grown heavier with comfort. The rain outside has turned gentler, no longer falling, just resting, like dew that hums. The woman disappears quietly into the back again, leaving you alone with the shop and your thoughts, which aren't really thoughts anymore, just feelings and air. Your eyes drift across the room. You've seen so many shelves already, but one, near the front window, draws you in. It's smaller than the others, just 3 rows. But the books, they aren't arranged by title or author. Each one has only a single word on the spine. Laughter, rain, summer, safe, goodbye. You walk to it slowly, guided not by curiosity, but by something quieter, maybe longing. You run your finger across the spine, labeled safe. It's warm. You pull the book from the shelf. It opens without a sound, and once again, the room fades away. You are somewhere else now. You're a child again, not fully, not clearly, but enough to remember, enough to feel. You're in a living room. The lights are low, a soft quilt around your shoulders, a movie playing faintly in the background. But you're not really watching it. You're watching someone else's face, someone who makes you feel safe. They're not speaking. They're just there. You don't need anything else. Just that presence, that quiet, that warmth, that feeling you can't explain. The memory doesn't speak. It doesn't try to teach. It just lets you feel what it once meant to be. Okay. You close the book gently. The image fades, but the feeling lingers. You place the book back, then choose another. Laughter. It opens. Now, you're in a different place. A kitchen, perhaps, or a beach. Somewhere with people you knew, or maybe still know. They're laughing. You can't hear the words, only the music of their joy, and you're there, in the middle, smiling, without thinking about it. That's all this memory asks of you, to smile, to feel the softness behind your ribs. You close this one too, and return it to its place. One last book, the one you almost missed. Goodbye. You pause, then pick it up. It opens slower than the others, and inside, a moment. One you've carried for longer than you realized. A goodbye, not dramatic, not painful, just real. A soft end, a turning of a page. You don't cry, you don't resist, you simply breathe through it. The book stays open for a moment longer. Then, on its own, it closes, and that is enough. You step back from the shelf. The rain has returned. Just slightly, soft taps on the glass. You return to your chair. The cat is gone now. Only the faintest imprint where it slept. The shop feels quieter, not empty, just at peace. You close your eyes, let your breath slow again, and you hear a sound, very soft. The book, the one beside you, the one you wrote in earlier, it has opened itself, one final page, and written there, in calm, golden ink. You don't need to carry it all tonight. Let the rain hold some of it. Let the stories carry the rest. You smile without moving, because you understand. You're not here to fix anything. You're here to feel light, to feel held, to rest. And so, with that, you lean deeper into the velvet, letting your limbs grow heavier, letting your mind dim like candlelight. No rush, no resistance, only quiet, only the bookshop and the rain and the soft turning of one last page. The door that knows you are still in the velvet chair, still warm, still calm, but something has shifted, not in a way that pulls you out, but in the way a story nears the end of a chapter, not a close, not a goodbye, just a pause. The light in the bookshop is dimmer now, more golden, more like candlelight than lamps. The rain continues, soft, steady, as if it knows your breath, and then you hear it again. The soft creak of the floorboards, the return of footsteps. The old woman reappears. She's holding something new this time, a small envelope, aged and sealed with a wax stamp. She walks over, places it on the side table, beside your mug of tea, now cold, but still comforting. She doesn't speak right away. Instead, she looks around the room, at the shelves, at the memories, at the cat's empty corner, at you. Then she says quietly, "Some places don't let you stay forever, but they never truly leave you either." You look at the envelope. You don't need to open it. You already know what it says. A part of you wrote it. Long before tonight, she continues. You've remembered what needed remembering. You've rested where rest was long overdue. You glance toward the front of the shop. The door is still there, but it feels different now. Not heavy, not final, just ready. She leans her hand gently on your shoulder, not to guide you, not to move you, but just to remind you that you are here, still here. When you're ready, she says, it'll know. The door always knows. Then she walks away, not into the back, but into the shelves, into the rows of books and wooden walls and whispers, and vanishes as if she was a page meant to be read. Then gently turned, you sit in the silence a moment longer. The chair cradles you like a lullaby. The envelope beside you glows faintly with its wax seal. You reach over, pick it up, turn it in your hands, feel the thickness of the paper, feel the stillness it carries, and then you rise, not with urgency, not with decision, just naturally, the way one dream flows into another. You walk slowly to the front of the shop, each step soft, each breath slower. You reach the door, place your hand on the brass knob. It's warm, familiar, as if it's always known you, always waited. You open the door, and what's on the other side isn't a street, or a city, or a world. It's quiet, endless, soft, like the space between sleep and dream, like the moment before waking, when everything is peaceful. You step through, and the bookshop behind you doesn't vanish. It simply fades, not lost, not gone, just returning to wherever stories rest until someone needs them again. And you? You are floating now, not in the sky, not in time, but in rest, weightless, free, safe. The envelope still in your hand slowly drifts away like a feather. It doesn't fall, it settles. The seal breaks on its own, and inside, only a single sentence. You are allowed to feel this light. You breathe, and the breath feels like the first one you've taken in a very long time. Your eyes close. The rain fades, and the velvet chair becomes the warmth of your bed, the softness of your pillow, the silence of sleep. You are no longer in the bookshop, but the bookshop is in you, shelves that remember. You, the dream deepens. You are not walking anymore. You are gliding, as if your breath carries you gently forward through a space that knows you better than memory does. You are not in the bookshop anymore, but a part of it still lives with you. You feel it in the space behind your ribs, in the hush behind your thoughts, like a bookmark slipped into the corner of your mind. You drift gently until the air around you begins to shift again, and just like that, you return, not to the beginning, not to the velvet chair, but to a new section of the bookshop, one you hadn't noticed before. The lighting is dimmer here, more golden, more aged. The air smells of lavender and something older, parchment and old pine. These shelves are different, not taller, just deeper, and each shelf has no labels, no titles, no signs, just objects, small, gentle objects, a folded handkerchief, a cracked teacup, a ribbon, a pressed flower inside a frame, a child's drawing, curled at the edges. These are not for sale. These are not displays. These are pieces, pieces of you. You reach out, not to take, but to touch. Your fingers hover near the flower. It's faded now, but you remember when you picked it. You remember where you were, who you were, and the way your heart felt that day. Not sad, not joyous, just real. The kind of feeling that doesn't ask for attention, only space. You step to the next shelf. The drawing, done in crayons, uneven lines, a stick figure with wild hair, holding hands with someone tall. You don't need to guess who it was. You smile, not because of the memory, but because it still remembers you. This shelf is not a place for regret. It's a museum of softness, a place where the things that shaped you were never discarded, only stored, lovingly, quietly, without judgment. You sit on a wooden bench at the end of the aisle. It creaks just a little. The sound makes you feel safe. There's a journal on your lap now. You don't know how it got there. Its cover is soft brown, with no markings. Its pages are empty, and yet you already know what it's for. You begin to write, but not sentences, not paragraphs, just words, one per page, kind, steady, loved, still, enough. The pages turn slowly, one word at a time. You're not writing them, you're remembering them. And as each word appears, you feel a piece of yourself return, a piece you didn't even realize you'd left behind. The air in the shop warms, the lights hum gently. There's no rush, no next step, only stillness, only here, only this moment. Somewhere, you hear the quiet sound of a page turning, not your journal, a larger page, older, as if the shop itself has just begun a new chapter. And you know, you'll read it in time, but not now. Now is for drifting. Now is for the soft in between. You close the journal, not to finish, but to rest. You place it gently on the bench beside you, and as you do, the shelves dim slightly. The light folds inward, like eyelids closing for the night. You lean back. The wooden bench now feels like clouds, the scent of lavender deeper now, like a lullaby made of flowers and quiet things. And in the distance, you hear the faintest echo, the sound of the bell above the shop door, a gentle reminder that the story continues, even in dreams. even in silence, even now. The upstairs room, you breathe deeper now. The air around you hums with stillness. Time feels like it's no longer ticking, only unfolding, like soft paper in slow motion. As you rest on the wooden bench, the bookshop shifts again, not with noise, not with light, just presence, the kind of presence you only notice when everything else goes quiet. You glance to your left. There's a narrow staircase now, wooden, a little uneven, worn in the middle of each step, as if generations of quiet footsteps had passed before you. The staircase wasn't there before, or maybe you simply hadn't needed it until now. You rise slowly, not out of urgency, but out of invitation. With your hand on the worn banister, you begin to climb. Each step creaks softly, but not in alarm, in welcome, as if the stairs are whispering, "Yes, come, you've earned this." At the top, a small landing opens into a single room. The ceiling slopes gently. The windows are round and fogged with mist. The rain is louder here, but still soft, a deeper version of the same lullaby. You step inside. It's a bedroom, not yours, and yet it could be. There's a bed tucked beneath the window, quilted with handmade blankets in soft, fading colors. Books line every wall, but these aren't old volumes. They're notebooks, journals, letters, a lifetime's worth of unspoken things, gently organized into quiet. There's a chair beside the bed, a robe hung neatly on a hook, a teacup, half full, still warm. A clock on the wall ticks softly, but the hands don't move. Time has no need to pass here. You sit on the edge of the bed. Your fingers trail across the folded blanket, and then you see it on the pillow. A note, small, handwritten, simple. It says, "You made it. You're safe to sleep here." You pick it up, hold it to your chest, not for answers, but for comfort, and slowly you lie back. The mattress greets your weight like an old friend. The blankets rise to meet your shoulders. The pillow fits the shape of your neck, as if it's known you for years. Outside the round window, raindrops gather and run in slow, shimmering trails. You close your eyes, not to shut out the world, but to sink deeper into it. The bed is not just soft, it's forgiving, understanding. Still, you're wrapped now in something wordless, something older than stress, quieter than memory, truer than thought. You don't try to sleep. You don't reach for rest. You simply arrive at it. And somewhere in the stillness of that upstairs room, you begin to notice something faint, something distant, the sound of pages turning somewhere below you, somewhere deep in the shop. The bookshop is still alive, still breathing, still unfolding. It doesn't need you to stay, but it promises, gently, that if ever you return, it will be here, just as it is now, lit by soft lamps, guarded by velvet chairs, holding the rain like a secret. You breathe out, and the breath feels final, not as in ending, but as in release, the kind you feel when the weight finally lifts, when you no longer ask, what next? Because the answer is simply this, just this. Sleep, stillness, story, beneath the floorboards. The upstairs room feels like it could be the end of the story, but something in the quiet tells you there's one more layer, not louder, not brighter, just deeper. You lie still for a while, wrapped in the quilt, listening to the hush of the rain against the round window, breathing as if you are part of the weather. Then, a sound, not intrusive, not startling, a soft tap, and then another. It isn't the rain. It's coming from below, beneath the floorboards, like footsteps, but older, or perhaps echoes of someone who once walked here before. You sit up slowly, not with fear, but with quiet curiosity. At the corner of the room, just beside the bookshelf, you see a panel in the floor, slightly ajar. Had it always been there? Maybe, maybe not. You rise from the bed, the wooden floor cool beneath your feet. As you walk across the room, the panel seems to shimmer, not with light, but with memory. You kneel down, place your fingers on its edge. It opens gently, as if granting permission. Beneath it, a narrow staircase, stone, not wood, lit by a faint blue glow. You breathe in slowly, not to prepare, just to honor the stillness. Then you descend. The stairs are cool beneath your hands. Each one feels older than the last. You move slowly, not because it's dark, but because the pace feels sacred. You reach the bottom, and what you find is not a basement, not a storage room, but a chamber, circular, quiet, built of stone and time, and in the center, a pool, small, still, lit from within. The surface reflects your breath. You walk toward it. The closer you get, the more the air begins to shift, not in temperature, but in feeling. The pool is not just water, it's a reflection of everything the shop has shown you, everything it's stored, everything it's helped you release. And more than that, it holds what you forgot you still needed. You kneel beside the pool, peer into it, and what you see is not your face, not entirely. It's your calm, your softness, yourself beneath everything. Not the version that wakes up with lists, not the one who remembers every obligation, but the part of you that simply is. The part that still believes in wonder, in magic, in quiet, and that part smiles at you, not as a stranger, but as something you've always carried. The water ripples gently and then settles, You close your eyes beside it, not to dream, not to drift, just to rest in the presence of yourself, without effort, without striving, without thought, just being. Minutes pass, or hours, it doesn't matter. When you open your eyes again, you are still in the chamber, but something has shifted, not around you, inside you. You feel lighter, wider. Still, you stand slowly, climb the stairs again, return to the upstairs room. The bed waits for you, unchanged. You lie down once more, pull the quilt to your chin. The rain continues, its steady, faithful whisper, and in the silence, you feel the final page turn, one that doesn't close the book, but simply says, "You're allowed to rest now." The story is still being written, but tonight, it's okay to pause. You breathe, and everything fades. Letters never sent. The room has grown quieter now, not because the rain has stopped, but because you've grown used to its rhythm. The rain no longer sounds like weather. It sounds like breath, like thought, like the earth itself resting beside you. You lie in the bed, eyes half closed, but something calls softly, not loud enough to wake you, but gently enough to guide you. A pull, like a dream within a dream. And then you see it. At the foot of the bed, a small wooden box, carved by hand, smoothed by time. You sit up, legs tucked beneath the blanket, and slowly reach forward. The box isn't locked. It opens as if it knows you. Inside, letters, dozens of them, all written in the same hand. Soft ink, careful script, a little uneven, human, but the names on the envelopes, yours. Each one is addressed to you, but none were ever delivered. Letters from moments past, from parts of yourself that once needed to speak. You pick one up. It's light. You unfold it slowly. The paper creaks gently, like the spine of an old book stretching, and you begin to read. "Dear you," it says, "I know you've been trying so hard to be enough, to be okay, to be everything for everyone. But I just wanted to remind you, you don't have to do that tonight." You pause, breathe, keep reading. You are allowed to rest, not because you earned it, not because you finished everything, but because you are human, and softness is part of strength. You fold the letter gently, place it on your lap, then another. This one reads, "I remember that day when you felt forgotten, when the world kept spinning and you couldn't find your feet. But I want you to know you were never truly alone." Another tear rises in your chest, but it's not sorrow, it's relief. The kind that flows quietly, the kind that doesn't need to be wiped away. You read a few more. One about joy you never gave yourself credit for. One about the child you once were. One about the future version of you who is still learning how to be gentle. Each one, a piece of love you didn't know, had waited this long to reach you. You place the letters carefully back in the box, not to forget, but to honor, to let them rest. Now that they've spoken, you lie back down again, this time deeper, your body melting into the mattress, your heart quieted, your breath as slow as candlelight. Outside the window, the rain slows. It isn't ending, it's just exhaling. The world grows quieter, the bookshop still, the bed warm, the letters closed, and your eyes begin to drift. This isn't sleep out of exhaustion. This is sleep like a homecoming, a returning to yourself, to your softness, to the place within you that never left, but simply waited for a quiet enough night to be found again. Where the stories go, the rain outside has slowed to a hush, a rhythm so soft it feels like it's coming from within your own chest. You're still in the bed, still wrapped in warmth, still held by the silence of a place that asks nothing of you except to stay soft. Your eyes are closed, but the bookshop still exists behind them. The shelves, the scent of cedar, the flicker of the lamps, the woman with the silver braid, the velvet chair, the cat, the floating words in books that never needed titles. And as you drift in and out, you begin to wonder, where do the stories go when no one is awake to read them? And just like that, you see it, a room you've never entered, a place within the bookshop that only appears once the world has gone quiet enough to notice it. You are there now, walking barefoot on floors that don't creak. This room has no lamps, yet it glows. No shelves, yet it's full. No words, yet it's made of stories. They float gently in the air, not pages, not paragraphs, feelings, moments, fragments. You reach out your hand, and a story lands in your palm. Weightless, you don't open it, you feel it. A summer day, a river, laughter echoing through tall trees. Someone you once loved, but haven't thought about in years. It's not a memory, it's not a lesson, it's just a presence. And it's here because it still matters, even now, even if it doesn't demand space, even if it doesn't hurt, it still lives here, in the room where the stories go. You walk slowly, each step sending tiny ripples across the wooden floor. Not wet, just alive. You touch another story, a simple one, a hand resting on yours in a waiting room. The smell of coffee that reminded you of your grandmother's house. The silence that fell after someone said they were proud of you. None of it shouted, but it stayed, and the shop kept it for you. Not in a vault, not in a journal, in this room, the one that only opens when you've slowed down enough to remember that not all stories are written to be read. Some are written to be felt, and then let go. You sit on the floor now. Let the stories swirl around you. Some are warm, some are bittersweet, all are soft. The kind of soft that never asks for anything in return. The kind of soft that only says, "Thank you for passing through me." You close your eyes, and the room hums gently like a lullaby. Not sung, not played, just known. The rain outside picks up again, as if it's applauding the silence. You feel your body grow heavier, not tired, just peaceful. You lie down, not in the room, not in the shop, but in the story itself. You're the story now, the one that rests, that breathes, that doesn't need an ending, because some stories only exist so that others may fall asleep beside them, and you are more than enough for that. You are the quiet between pages, the space between words, the hush between raindrops. You are safe, you are held, you are home, the echo room. You are floating now, not through air, not through time, but through softness itself. The bookshop holds you still, though you are no longer sure if you are walking, sleeping, or dreaming. And maybe it doesn't matter, because here everything blends gently. No sharp edges, no clocks, no pressure to be anywhere else. The air is quiet, but not silent. It carries a kind of hush that feels alive, like the feeling right before someone tells you something kind, like the pause between pages just before a sentence lands in your heart. You open your eyes and find yourself standing in another hallway. This one you don't recognize, but it feels familiar. The walls are soft gray, the lights dim and warm, and there, at the end, a single door. You walk toward it slowly, no rush, each footstep padded by the hush of old rugs and the knowledge that you are exactly where you're meant to be. You reach the door, no sign, no lock, just a small brass handle, cool beneath your fingertips. You open it. Inside, a round room, walls lined with mirrors, but not the kind that reflect your image. These mirrors reflect sound, echoes. You step inside, and the moment you do, you hear something, not loud, not sudden, just gentle echoes. A voice, your voice, from years ago. "I'm doing my best," it says. Then another, "I'm scared, but I'll try anyway." Then a softer one, "I wish someone would just say, 'It'll be okay.'" Each one floats through the room like a feather, not replaying, not haunting, just being heard. Again, with kindness, you walk slowly through the room, and as you do, the echoes shift. You begin to hear other voices, people you once loved, people you haven't spoken to in years, people you never got to say goodbye to. But none of it is painful now. It's quiet, accepting, soft, like the feeling of hearing a song you forgot you used to love, and then you hear something else, Not words, just breath, the sound of you resting. The moment you first learned how to be still, the first time you let go, the first time you realized you didn't have to try so hard to be understood. You stepped to the center of the room. The echoes swirled gently around you, not overlapping, not demanding attention, just existing. And in this moment, you realize something. These echoes were never forgotten, only waiting to be heard again in a place quiet enough to receive them. You sit down on the floor. Let the echoes float past you. Some disappear as soon as you hear them. Others linger a little longer. Soft notes in a song you didn't know you still carried. And then one last voice, yours, not from the past, from now. I am proud of who I'm becoming. It lingers, then fades, and for a long, quiet moment, there is nothing, just the steady pulse of rain outside, the warm silence of the bookshop around you, and the feeling of your own breath, soft and steady. You rise, not because it's time, but because the story is guiding you onward, ever so gently. You step outside the room, close the door behind you, and in that small motion, you let go of the weight you didn't know you were still carrying. Back in the hallway, you turn and find that the bookshop has reassembled itself again. The lamps are glowing, the shelves tall and quiet, the chair waiting, the air fragrant with wood and rain. But this time, you feel different, not fixed, just softened. You walk slowly back toward the heart of the shop, and the echoes stay behind, not silenced, just honored. You return to your chair. You rest again, and as the rain continues, so do you, softly, gently, peacefully. The forgotten door, you return to the velvet chair. It welcomes you without a sound. You don't sink into it. You blend with it. Like water meeting water, the bookshop no longer feels like a place you're visiting, but a place you've always known, a part of you. The walls don't just hold books. They hold breath, moments, stillness. You close your eyes for a moment. The hush around you is steady, familiar, the kind of quiet you don't just hear. You feel it on your skin, then a shift, a small one, the kind of shift that doesn't announce itself, just gently suggests. You open your eyes again, and now, behind the counter, there's a door you've never seen before. It's not dramatic. It doesn't glow or hum. It's plain, painted the soft blue-gray of dusk, with a brass knob shaped like a crescent moon. You rise slowly from the chair, as if you've always been meant to open it, just not until now. You walk toward it, passing familiar shelves, the teacups, the soft rugs, the space where the cat once slept, and then you're there, hand on the knob. You turn it. It clicks open without resistance. Beyond the door, a room made entirely of light, not bright, not blinding, just warm and floating in this light, are frames, hundreds, maybe thousands, but they're not paintings, they're moments, tiny memories you didn't know you'd kept. You step inside, the floor glows beneath your feet, but makes no sound. You move to the nearest frame. Inside, a window, view you once stared through as a child, watching leaves blow across a schoolyard. Next frame, the curve of someone's handwriting on a birthday card. You can't remember what it said, only that it made you feel seen. Next, the exact moment you exhaled after a hard day, realizing you'd made it through. These moments aren't playing like videos. They're resting, floating, alive in their stillness. You walk among them, not to reclaim, not to relive, just to recognize, to whisper, I remember you. Each memory gives a soft shimmer, as if returning the greeting. You walk deeper into the room of light, and now the frames begin to show things that never happened, but still feel familiar. A place you've never been, but feel homesick for. Stranger's voice saying something kind, a future version of yourself, laughing with ease. The room doesn't separate past and future. It blends them. It says, this, too, is part of you. You pause, close your eyes, let it all wash over you. Not like a wave, but like warmth, like a blanket pulled up beneath your chin as the rain murmurs beyond the glass. When you open your eyes again, you're standing before one final frame. It holds nothing, just a blank, gentle glow. You reach out, touch it, and suddenly you hear a voice, your own, not from before, from now. I don't know what comes next, but I trust I'll find my way through it. The frame fades. You turn slowly, and the door behind you is open, not to send you away, just to guide you back to stillness, to where the story first began. You walk through the door, return to the bookshop, and it's all just as you left it, but you are not as you were. You are softer, you are fuller, you are quieter, in the best way. You return to the chair, sit, close your eyes again, and everything settles. The book that writes you, the chair wraps itself around you once more. Its velvet is no longer just a fabric beneath your body. It's a feeling, a remembering, like when you return to a place from childhood and everything smells the same, even though the world has changed. The rain outside is steady again, not loud, not light, just perfect, a backdrop to the stillness inside you now. And then you notice something new. On your lap, a book, not placed there, not handed to you, just arrived. It looks like others you've seen here, but it feels different. Its cover is blank, but the edges glow softly, as if lit by moonlight. You open it, and inside, the pages are already full, but not with stories, with you. Your thoughts, your silences, your truths, written in a handwriting that is undeniably your own. Even the parts you've never said aloud, you read slowly, not because it's difficult, but because every word feels like it was waiting for this moment. I am softer than I admit, and stronger than I appear. I carry more love than I let myself feel. I do not need to be perfect to be peaceful. You pause. Let the words settle. They do not demand reaction. They simply ask to be witnessed. You turn another page, and the writing shifts. Now, the book isn't recalling who you've been. It's writing what you're becoming in real time. As you breathe, as you rest, I am learning how to slow down. I am beginning to trust my stillness. I am not afraid of quiet anymore. Tears don't rise, not because you aren't moved, but because this feeling isn't one that spills over. It's the kind that stays deep, rooted, warm. The book closes itself, not in finality, but with care, as if it knows you've read enough for now. You hold it gently, like something sacred, and as you do, you realize you didn't come here to read stories. You came here so your own story could breathe, without expectation, without editing, just honesty, just softness, just sleep. You place the book beside you. It glows faintly and then dims. It doesn't disappear. It just waits for another night, another breath, another remembering. You shift gently in the chair. Let your shoulders drop. Let your hands rest in your lap. Let your breath slow to the rhythm of the rain. And now, even your thoughts feel quiet, like books tucked gently onto their shelves for the night. You are not seeking, you are not thinking, you are just being. And the bookshop holds you as only a story can. The room with no name time has slowed to a whisper. You sit still, the velvet chair holding your weight like a lullaby. The book beside you breathes quietly, as if stories themselves had a pulse. You feel it now, not just the quiet, but the trust. The shop trusts you to be here, to rest, to feel safe. And just when you think there is nowhere else to go, you feel it again. That pull, gentle, not from your feet, not even from your heart, from somewhere deeper, somewhere that remembers you even when you forget yourself. You rise, and without question, your steps begin to carry you, not toward a door, but toward the space between shelves, a space that shouldn't exist, a gap that isn't always there. But tonight, it is. You pass through it. No creak, no resistance. It opens like breath. And what you find on the other side isn't quite a room. It has walls. Yes, a ceiling, a lamp, but it has no name, no label, no category. It doesn't tell you what it is. It waits for you to decide. Inside, There's a single object, a mirror, but not like the others you've seen. This mirror doesn't reflect your appearance. It reflects your truth, your essence. You walk toward it slowly, and when you look into it, you don't see a face. You see moments, all layered together, soft, non-linear. You see the way you tried, quietly, again and again. You see the kindness you gave when no one saw it, the way you stayed soft, even when the world felt harsh. The mirror doesn't show you what you are. It shows you who you've always been, even when you forgot. You step closer, and words begin to appear along the frame, written in slow, glowing letters. They say, "You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too much. Then, you are not your mistakes. You are not your pace. You are not your doubt. And finally, you are still here, and that is enough." You close your eyes. Let those words wrap around your body like a blanket made of moonlight. You don't need to remember them. They will stay. The room will keep them for you, for next time, for any time. You open your eyes. The mirror has dimmed, but its warmth lingers in your chest. You turn slowly, leave the room behind. No door closes. No sound plays. The room doesn't end. It just lets go. Back in the shop, everything is still. The rain has softened again. So light now, it sounds like memory. You return to the chair. Sink back into its warmth. Let your breath find you. Let your mind grow gentle. Let your body settle into the quiet beneath thought. And somewhere, a page turns. Not to begin, not to end, just to continue. A shelf that waits. The velvet chair breathes beneath you. Not literally, but it feels that way. Like it's alive in the way something becomes more than itself when it's part of your piece. The bookshop no longer feels like a place you entered. It feels like it unfolded from within you, like it was always here, waiting for this exact moment when you finally slowed down enough to feel it. You sit for a while longer, watching nothing in particular. The books don't move. The rain doesn't change. The shelves stand still. And yet, something is calling again. Not out loud, not with sound, just presence. You stand, not to explore, not to leave, but to follow what gently tugs at the edge of your breath. You walk past familiar corners, the tea table, the green lamp, the worn rug beneath the history section, and there, near the back, a single shelf you haven't noticed before. It's small, tucked behind a curtain of hanging ivy. The vines sway gently as you approach, as if moved by the rhythm of your own calm. You pull the ivy aside, and the shelf reveals itself. Unlike the others, this one has only one book. One. It rests at the center, like it's exactly where it belongs. Its cover is soft, deep gray. No title, no label, only a ribbon tucked inside the pages. Halfway down, you reach out and lift the book. It feels heavier than the others, not burdensome, just full, alive. You open it. The first page is blank, but not empty. It glows faintly, as if something invisible is being written, line by line, and then words begin to appear, not quickly, just slowly enough to match your breath. This is the shelf that waits for the moments you are ready to feel, for the things you are not yet ready to hold, until now. You pause, breathe, turn the page. More writing flows in. There is no rush, no timeline, only return. Page by page, the book speaks softly about the small sorrows you never shared, the joys you didn't think anyone noticed, the forgiveness you've been offering quietly to yourself. Day by day, you turn one more page, and the words are simple, just thank you for coming back. You close the book, hold it for a moment, then gently place it back onto the shelf. The ivy closes softly behind you, like the curtain on a quiet stage. No applause, no ending, just peace. You walk back through the shop, your steps slower now, not tired, just still, like water after the wind stops. You reach the chair, lower yourself gently, close your eyes, and you feel it now, clearly. This shop was never about finding something. It was about remembering that you don't have to keep going all the uppace time, that you're allowed to pause, to exhale, to soften. And right now, that's exactly what you're doing. The rain continues. The lights dim further. The velvet folds beneath your weight. And all that's left is breath and quiet and sleep. The guest book. The shop is quieter than ever. Even the rain seems to have softened its voice, now barely more than a hush, like breath on glass. You sit in the chair, body weightless, mind gently drifting between memory and dream. And then you notice something small, a leather-bound book resting on a nearby table. You could have sworn it wasn't there before. Its spine is cracked, but clean. Its pages gently yellowed. No title, only a little card beside it, hand-lettered in faded ink. Guest book. For those who stayed long enough to remember. You reach for it. It's warm, lighter than it looks. It feels like something that's been held by many hands, yet still made just for yours. You open to the first page and find a message, not signed, not dated, just words. I came here when I was tired of pretending. I left knowing how to rest without apology. You turn the page. Another message. I didn't find answers here. I found permission to stop asking the questions. Page by page, you read the voices of others, strangers and not strangers, people who passed through this same space, who sat in the same chair, who listened to the same rain. Each entry is quiet, Not dramatic, not seeking attention, just truth, soft and steady. Some pages hold just a single word: safe, home. Finally, others are longer, stories written in half thoughts, paragraphs that begin in sorrow and end in peace, reflections that sound like you. You keep reading until you come to a blank page, and without thinking, you pick up the fountain pen that rests beside the book. It's already full of ink, already ready. You breathe in and slowly begin to write. You don't plan, you don't edit. The words come like water flowing downhill, slow, sure, inevitable. I didn't know how much I needed this. The quiet, the slowness, the gentle reminder that I don't have to earn rest. Thank you for holding what I couldn't carry tonight. If someone else is reading this after me, I hope you feel what I felt, that even silence can be love. You stop, a soft pause, then write, just below it: I was here, and for the first time in a long while, I felt whole. You place the pen down, close the book, and the room exhales with you, not loudly, not noticeably, just enough to let you know you've added something to the shop now, a piece of yourself that will stay here for whoever needs it next. You lean back in the chair once more. The quilt draped across your lap now feels like it's been there the whole time. The rain is no longer outside of you. It is around you, inside you, like the hum of a familiar lullaby you didn't know you remembered. You close your eyes, and the shop fades, not in loss, but in softness. The kind of softness only dreams know how to hold. The shelf of things left unsaid. You rest fully now, not just in body, but in memory, in stillness, in all the places within you that had forgotten what quiet felt like. But the shop isn't finished yet. There's still something it wants to show you, something small. You rise from the chair slowly, not pulled by urgency, but guided by calm. Lamps seem dimmer now, but somehow warmer. The shop feels softer, as if it, too, is growing sleepier, mirroring your pace. You walk without needing to decide where to go, and soon you find yourself before a shelf you hadn't seen before. It's tucked in a corner, half shadowed, as if it only appears to those who truly need it. The shelf is simple, no decorations, no glowing light, just a single hand-painted sign that reads, "Things left unsaid." You step closer. The shelf is filled with tiny boxes, each no larger than a teacup. Some are tied with ribbon, others gently shut with clasps, one or two slightly open, as if waiting. You reach for a small wooden one, etched with delicate patterns. You open it slowly. Inside, not a letter, not an object, but a single phrase, floating just above the surface of nothing. I'm sorry I never told you how much you mattered to me. You breathe in, hold it, Then let the phrase drift into the air. Like a feather finding peace, it disappears. Not forgotten, just freed. You choose another box, a metal one, cool in your palm. Inside, I wish I could have said it sooner, but I forgive you. And again, you feel the weight of it lift, not with sadness, but with release. The kind of release that doesn't need tears, only breath, only being seen. One more box, this one, paper thin, wrapped in blue silk. You open it gently. Inside, thank you. I know I didn't say it often enough. Your hand trembles slightly, not from weakness, from recognition. You close the box, place it back on the shelf, and as you do, each box, one by one, glows softly as if something inside them has settled. You step back, the shelf, now a little lighter. You didn't empty it. You honored it, and that's enough. You turn and walk slowly back toward the center of the shop. The sound of rain continues, but fainter now, like it's begun to move further into the distance. You sit once more in the chair. The shop seems to breathe with you, and your body, held by velvet and quiet, begins to let go again. All the unsaid things have been given space now, not solved, not rewritten, just held like everything here. You pull the blanket higher, settle into the chair's perfect shape, and with one final sigh, you feel your eyes grow heavier. The shelves around you fade. The shelves within you finally still. And all the stories still here, still waiting, still yours. The clock that doesn't count. The rain is barely there now, not gone, just softened, as if it, too, is falling asleep. The shop is still. You are still. And in that stillness, a new sound appears. Not jarring, not sudden, just gentle, like the steady tick of something ancient, measured in peace instead of pressure. You open your eyes softly, not startled, not rushed, and you see it, mounted on the far wall, a clock, round, wooden, a glass face slightly fogged with time, but something about it feels different. You stand slowly, your blanket falling in soft folds around you. Each step toward the clock is slow, deliberate, because you already sense this isn't the kind of clock that tracks minutes. You arrive, look closely, and realize the hands aren't moving. They hover just slightly ahead of midnight, not ticking, just waiting. And where numbers would normally sit around the edge of the face, there are words instead, soft words, words you've needed to hear. Breathe, pause, trust, still, be, let go. Each word glowing faintly, not demanding, just existing, like stars on a cloudy night, always there, even when hidden. You raise your hand, your fingertip brushes the glass, and in that moment, The hands of the clock shift just slightly, not forward, not backward, but inward, as if folding in on themselves, as if the clock has decided, tonight, time doesn't need to move. It just needs to rest, just like you. You smile, a small one, the kind that feels like an exhale, the kind that doesn't need to be seen to be real. You step back, and the clock glows a little brighter, then dims again, like a heartbeat. You return to the chair, curl deeper into the blanket. Let your head fall to one side. Let your eyelids grow heavy. Time, tonight, is not your responsibility. There is nothing to rush toward, no hour to chase, no moment to hold on to too tightly. There is only now, and the softness it brings. You listen again to the room, to your breath, to the memory of ticking that no longer needs to measure anything, and slowly you begin to drift, not into sleep, but into timelessness, the space where dreams and memory blend, where stories don't end because they never began with plot, but with feeling, with stillness, with rain, with the sound of a chair that doesn't creak anymore because it no longer needs to, because now you are part of it all, and the shop is part of you. The final light, you are almost weightless now, not floating, not flying, but anchored so deeply in stillness, you've forgotten where your body ends and the chair begins. The bookshop surrounds you, but it no longer feels like a place. It feels like a breath you've entered, a long, slow exhale that never needs to end. The clock has gone silent, not because it's broken, but because it has nothing left to measure. The rain has returned, barely audible, like a memory whispering from the window pane. Everything is quiet, and then you see it, a light, faint, flickering, coming from the top of the tallest shelf in the room. Not bright, not drawing you with urgency, just glowing, waiting. You rise, your feet move slowly, as if each step is a lullaby made visible. You stand before the shelf. It's taller than you remember, the books arranged like memories, loose, leaning gently into each other. You see the source of the light, a lantern, old, dusty, still lit. Its flame is impossibly soft, like a fire that was never meant to burn, only to remind. There's a note resting just beneath it. You lift it carefully, open it with fingers that now know gentleness like instinct. It reads, "This is the final light, not to lead you out, but to remind you you were never lost." You close the note, and the lantern flickers slightly. The flame does not go out, but it dims, as if it's saying goodbye without needing to speak. You smile, not out of joy, not out of sadness, out of knowing, out of being known. You turn back toward the center of the shop. Everything is still. The lamps, the rugs, the velvet chair that still holds your shape. Even the shelves seem to bow gently. like they've watched you soften and are grateful. You return to the chair once more for the last time. You sit, the lantern's glow fades behind you, but its warmth lingers in your chest. You close your eyes, and for a moment you feel yourself dissolve into the room. You are no longer a visitor. You are part of the story now, part of the stillness, part of the pages, part of the softness that someone else will feel when they find this place one day. And maybe, just maybe, they will read your words in the guest book and know someone else once came here too and left lighter. The rain becomes distant, like the memory of comfort, like a lullaby sung from another room. You are fading now, not away, but inward, where the story holds you, where sleep isn't an escape, but a home, the story that never ends. The chair holds you like a memory, not one you recall, but one that remembers you. Outside, the rain is nearly silent. It no longer falls. It rests. Just like you, your breathing is slow now. Each inhale, a thread of peace. Each exhale, a soft release. There is no urgency, no need to understand, only this. A story unfolding in the quiet. The shop knows that your eyes may close soon. It knows that the mind begins to blur the line between what is imagined and what is felt. But before sleep wraps you completely, there is one final journey. You do not walk, you do not stand, you simply feel the shop begin to expand, not in size, but in meaning. The walls breathe, the shelves sway gently, as if they are part of a forest canopy. Books like branches, leaves like pages. The scent of cedar grows deeper. The floorboards hum. And then you're there, in the center of a space that is both the shop and something older. A garden, maybe. A sky. A world built from all the stories that once lived in whispers but now float freely in the air. You walk barefoot through this vast new space. Each step lands in silence, but not empty silence, alive silence, like dusk, like snowfall, like holding hands in the dark. You find a bench, carved from the wood of memory. You sit. Above you, the ceiling is no longer there, only stars, but not constellations. These stars are moments. Each one flickers with something known. One holds the first time you felt understood. Another, the feeling of belonging that lasted only a second, but meant everything. There is no sound, but there is presence. And then the stars begin to lower themselves, not falling, descending. They gather around you, forming a soft circle, and in their light, you begin to see the story of your life not as a line, but as a spiral. Moments folding into moments. Lessons softened by time. Feelings that once felt too big now, humming gently like lullabies. A soft wind moves through the air, and in it, voices, familiar ones, not speaking in words, just presence, the presence of those you've loved, the ones who held space for you, the ones who once felt like home, even the ones who never stayed, but left you with something gentle. They gather now, not to teach, not to correct, not even to comfort, but to witness you as you are, here, now, safe, whole. The stars pulse gently, the spiral deepens, and your breath begins to mirror the rhythm of something timeless. You close your eyes again, and the story continues. But now you are not just reading it, you are part of the ink, part of the silence between words, part of the rhythm that turns the pages. You drift through forests made of kindness, through oceans held together by memory, through sky shaped like hope. Each chapter opens itself and gently lets you pass. You do not need to stay. You do not need to choose, only to rest, to be. The final pages arrive like mist, like fog at dawn, like the moment before a song begins, and you smile, because now you know this book never ends. Back in the shop, the chair still holds your shape, the lantern still flickers faintly, the guest book is still open, your words still fresh, and the silver-haired woman, she stands behind the counter once more, not watching, just being. She doesn't need to speak. She never did. The shop lives on because someone, somewhere, will need it again. Another rainy night, another tired heart, another soul ready to remember how to rest. And when they do, they'll find your name in the pages. They'll feel the softness you left behind. They'll sit in the chair you once filled, and the shop will open for them just as it did for you, because some stories don't need a closing line. They only need to be told slowly, gently, and with love. The end, or just the beginning. The letters from the lantern, room you're drifting, not away from the bookshop, but deeper into it, deeper into yourself. Sleep hasn't taken you yet, but you are close, so close. And the shop, as always, responds to your stillness. You feel it shift again, not the walls, not the shelves, the light. It changes. A soft orange glow begins to spread across the floor, as if the sun were rising somewhere inside the building, but the sky outside is still the same, gray and gentle, painted with steady rain. You rise slowly from the chair. The warmth of the blanket slips from your shoulders, landing across the armrest like a memory left behind just long enough to return to. You turn toward the glow. It's coming from the hallway that didn't exist before. A long, narrow corridor lit by lanterns, hung at equal intervals. Each lantern pulses with soft amber light, not bright, not flickering, alive. You step into the hallway. The wooden floor is cool beneath your bare feet. The air smells of beeswax and old pages. There are no windows here, no sound but your breathing and the occasional rustle of something not quite wind, not quite memory. You continue walking. Each lantern you pass whispers, not in words but in impressions. You feel them as you go by. This is the one you read by during long winter nights. This is the one that stayed lit when you thought the power would go out. This is the one that saw your tears and said nothing, but stayed anyway. At the end of the hallway, a small arched door awaits. No handle, no lock, only a soft ring carved into the center. A symbol you don't recognize, but trust. You touch it. The door creaks open with a kindness that feels older than time. Inside, the lantern room, a wide circular chamber, wood-paneled walls lined with shelves. Hundreds of lanterns hang from the ceiling, each gently swaying as though stirred by some hidden breeze. In the center of the room, a table, simple, round, made of dark wood and candle wax, and on the table, a stack of envelopes, some sealed, some open, some glowing faintly. You approach slowly. The chair at the table pulls itself back, just enough for you to sit, and so you do. Your fingers brush over the stack. You choose one that seems to lean slightly toward you, as if inviting your attention. You open it. Inside, a letter, written in your own hand, though you don't remember writing it. You begin to read, "Dear me, you've been so good at carrying everything, holding it all, smiling through the weight. But you don't have to do that here. Not now. Not tonight. Let the stories hold you instead. Let the rain do the thinking. Let the shop remember for you. You've always been enough. Even when the world made you forget, you place the letter down, fold it carefully, set it beside the stack. Another envelope pulses softly. You open it too. This one is shorter. I forgive you for everything you thought you had to be, for every moment you forgot how to rest. It's okay now. You can let go. You read more. Each letter speaking gently to a different part of you. Some remind you to breathe. Some remind you of who you were before the noise. Some remind you that no one has ever expected perfection, except maybe you, and even that can be let go. The lanterns above flicker, but not from wind. They're responding to the release, to the softening, to your breath. They sway gently now, casting light across the pages, as if bowing in quiet approval. You lean back in the chair. Your eyes grow heavier, but not from exhaustion, from trust, from the rare and precious relief that comes from being in a space that asks for nothing except your presence. And even that, only if it feels right. You reach for one last envelope. It's tied with a ribbon, blue, frayed at the edges. The paper is slightly thicker. You untie the ribbon, unfold the letter. There is no greeting, no signature, only a message. You will forget this place, not because it isn't real, but because real things live in your heart, not always in your memory, but pieces of it will stay with you in the way you pause before answering, in the way you notice rain more kindly, in the way you give yourself permission to rest. The bookshop is not a destination, it's a returning, and you can return anytime you choose stillness, anytime you choose softness, anytime you choose you. You fold the letter slowly, place it back in the envelope. The ribbon ties itself again, as if it understands. You rise from the table, look up at the lanterns one last time. They pulse once more, and then the room dims, not into darkness, but into warmth, like candlelight behind closed eyelids. You walk back through the hallway. The lanterns on the walls no longer whisper. They rest, just as you're about to return to the main room. You pause. You glance back. The door to the lantern room is no longer there. Only soft wood and silence. But the warmth in your chest, it lingers. You carry it with you as you walk back to the velvet chair. You sit, you breathe, you remember nothing specific, but you feel everything, and slowly, peace wraps itself around your shoulders again, like a blanket, like the pages of a book closing gently, without ever needing an ending. The attic, that waited, the air in the shop has shifted again. You sit quietly in the velvet chair, your breath slow, your thoughts soft, your limbs wrapped in rest. But somewhere above you, a hush, not silence, not sound, a hush with weight, the kind that only lives in old spaces and old stories. You open your eyes, slowly, gently, and you feel it, a pull from above, from the ceiling. You glance upward. The lights flicker slightly, then steady themselves, not warning you, but welcoming. You rise again. Your blanket falls like the final page of a chapter. You don't fold it. You don't need to. It will wait. Everything here waits with patience you didn't know was possible. You walk to the back of the shop, past the guest book, past the shelf of unsaid things, past the lantern room's invisible door. There, nestled in shadow, you find the staircase, narrow, wooden. It curls upward, like the spine of a story you haven't read yet. A rope dangles from the ceiling above. You pull it softly, click. A panel opens, and from it descends a folding ladder, old, painted white, edges worn to wood. You climb. Each rung lets out a breath, a sigh, not of strain, but of memory, as if it hasn't been climbed in a long time, but somehow still remembers your weight. At the top, a hatch. You push it gently. It opens with no resistance. And above it, the attic. You emerge into a space so quiet It makes your heart feel louder than it is. Low beams, wooden floors, dust hanging in light that doesn't seem to come from anywhere. Boxes stacked high, their corners soft with time. Blankets folded over, trunks, a small rocking chair near a round window, and in the center, a table covered with objects, no labels, no price tags, just presence. You step inside, your footsteps muffled by a rug older than memory. You run your fingers across the table. Everything here has meaning, even if you don't know what it is. An old photograph, the face is faded, a compass, a tiny bottle of sand, a music box, a thimble, a paper boat, a single glove. Each object whispers, not in language, but in feeling. You pick up the compass. It doesn't spin. It doesn't point north. It points inward. You close your eyes. Hold it tight. And for a moment, you feel your younger self, the one who once believed there were secret doors in every house. That magic lived in corners, that objects could feel. You place the compass down, a quiet thank you beneath your breath. You move slowly across the attic. You sit in the rocking chair. The window beside you is round, fogged slightly at the edges. You wipe it gently, and outside, the sky, still gray, still soft, rain now falling in slow, syrupy streaks down the glass, and beyond it, not buildings, not streets, just fog. The world outside no longer matters. You are above it now, inside something older, more honest. You rock slowly, and from beneath the table, a box. You lean down, pull it gently toward you. It opens on its own. Inside, a journal, blank, but beside it, a pencil, worn but sharpened. You lift them both onto your lap, and you begin to write, not full thoughts, just words as they come, still, enough, held, more gentle than I thought I could be. The pencil moves on its own now. You're not thinking. You're remembering what your heart already knows, that there's a part of you that never stopped believing in softness. You pause, set the pencil down, close the journal. No need to fill every page. It will be here if and when you return. You rise from the chair, step back toward the hatch, but before you leave, you turn one last time toward the attic. You don't look at the objects. You don't say goodbye. You simply nod, as if promising to carry their quiet with you, and they, in return, promise to never forget. You descend the ladder. The hatch closes gently above you. The hallway returns. The shop remains as it was. Lamps low, shelves humming with memory. You return to the chair, sit again, and this time you feel complete, not finished, just full, like the attic was not just a room, but a version of you who waited patiently to be visited. And now that it has, it rests too. You close your eyes. The rain sings a little deeper. The shop is still, and your breath is the only thing you need to hear. The room of quiet, music, you're still in the chair, but the room around you feels different now. Not changed, just deeper, like the bookshop is slowly unfolding, layers you didn't know it had. The lamp beside you hums gently, its light flickering like a heartbeat, and somewhere, faintly, you begin to hear music. Not a song, not a melody, just a sound. Soft, steady, a slow rhythm that feels more felt than heard. You turn your head toward the back of the shop. A curtain shifts. Behind it, a hallway. One you don't remember ever seeing. But this is how the bookshop works. It gives you what you need when you've grown quiet enough to receive it. You rise again, not reluctantly, not urgently, just ready. You step behind the curtain, and there, a long corridor bathed in soft, golden blue light. The music is clearer now, not from speakers, not from instruments. It feels like it's coming from the air itself, or maybe from the floorboards, from the walls, from memory. You follow the sound. The hallway curves gently, as if guiding you through a spiral of rest. And then, at the end of the corridor, a door. You press it open slowly, and inside, a room, but not like the others. This one is wider, rounder, with vaulted ceilings that feel like the inside of a music box. And in the center, a single record player spinning slowly on an old wooden stand. The record plays a soft instrumental tune, the kind of music you can't hum, but will remember in your chest forever. Scattered around the room are chairs, no two alike, each one with a different cushion, some floral, some plain, some faded with time, and sitting in each chair, people, but not in the usual sense, not bodies, not faces, presences, outlines, shadows of people you've known, or maybe just imagined, maybe even pieces of yourself, each one still, each one silent, each one listening. You step inside, no one turns, no one stares, and yet you feel welcome. You find a chair near the back. It's deep, comfortable, familiar, in a way you can't explain. You sit. The music continues. It's not loud, not even structured. It's like the sound of being remembered by someone who didn't have to. The figures in the room don't speak. They don't move, but they feel safe. They feel like parts of your story that are resting with you. Grief, joy, moments that never found words. The version of you that was once afraid. The one that learned to soften. The one that stayed anyway. All of them here, listening. The music changes slightly. It slows, then deepens. Each note lands like a soft raindrop on fabric. You feel your eyes begin to close, not from sleepiness, but from peace. You're not dreaming, but you're not quite awake either. You're somewhere in between, somewhere only the bookshop knows how to take you. And in that space, you hear something else. A whisper, not outside, inside. A voice without sound. You don't have to be anything but this. You exhale, the most complete breath you've taken all day, all week, maybe all year. The record continues to spin. No clicks, no scratches, just presence. You glance around the room again. Some of the figures are gone now, but you're not afraid. They've simply moved on, released, returned to wherever softness lives. You close your eyes again, and the music finds your breath, your chest, your hands. You are being held by the room, by the sound, by the very story you've been slowly writing just by being here. Time doesn't pass, it folds. You don't fall asleep, you float. The record doesn't stop, it slows to match your rhythm. You are not leaving the room, you are becoming it, a part of its memory, a note in its song, another presence in a chair, welcoming the next visitor with silence and care. And just before the final note drifts away, you hear one last phrase. You've done enough. And with that, you rest fully, completely, without the need to wake anytime soon. The drawer with no key, you awaken slowly, but not in the way you do from sleep. This is something different. You are not returning. You are simply rising, drifting from the layer of stillness that the room of quiet music wrapped around you like fog. The melody still lingers in your chest, not loud, not gone, just quiet enough to hold. You stand again. The figures in the chairs have thinned. Some are only outlines now. Some, perhaps, were never really there to begin with. Just echoes of what needed to be witnessed. You leave the room, back into the softly lit corridor, back through the curtain, and into the familiar warmth of the bookshop. It feels different now, like a candle nearly burned through, still glowing, still warm, but ready to rest soon. You step lightly across the rug. The lamps flicker slightly, as if acknowledging your return. And as your eyes wander across the room, you notice something new. A small cabinet tucked beneath the stairs. You walk toward it. It's quiet there, dustless, waiting. The cabinet is simple. Old wood, rounded edges, 3 drawers, 2 of them slightly open. One, the smallest, is shut tight. You crouch, slide open the top drawer. Inside, bookmarks, hundreds of them, each one different. Paper, leather, pressed flowers, hand-cut ribbons. You touch a few. Each one pulses with a memory. The time you stayed up all night reading. The book that reminded you of someone you lost. The story that helped you forgive yourself. You smile, not out of happiness, but out of wholeness. You close the drawer, open the second, This one holds pencils, some new, most worn down, some broken clean, in half, all sharpened, at least once. You run your fingers across them. They hum softly, not with words, but with thoughts that were once written, letters you never sent, margins you once doodled in, ideas that never needed to become anything more than scratches on paper. You breathe in, then reach for the final drawer, the one that's locked. There's no keyhole, no handle, just wood and stillness. You sit cross-legged in front of it. Place your hands gently on the surface. It's warm, and you understand something. This drawer does not open with force or tools. It opens when you are ready. You don't ask it to open. You don't will it. You just stay. And then, like a breath held for years, it opens. Just enough. Inside, a folded cloth, soft, frayed, and beneath it, a letter addressed to who you've been all along. You lift it out, open it. The handwriting is careful, delicate, written as if each word was meant to be read in a quiet room on a rainy night by someone who finally stopped trying so hard to be strong. You read, "You've carried so much, more than you should have, more than anyone knew, and still, you were kind. You stayed soft, even when the world didn't make room for softness. You didn't get everything right, but you were never meant to. The point was never perfection. It was presence. And you were here. You've always been here." You pause. Single tear gathers, not from pain, from peace. The letter continues. "If no one told you this before, now I will. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to stop carrying it. You are allowed to just be. The drawer will close again after this. But what it gave you stays with you." You fold the letter, slide it back inside. The drawer closes gently, almost as if to say, "That's enough for tonight." You rise. The cabinet sits quietly, content, no longer waiting. You return to the chair, the same chair, the only one, the one that has become a part of your breathing. You sit, you curl into yourself, blanket around your shoulders, rain on the windows, bookshop in your chest. You don't need a book in your hands now. The story is already inside you. Every room, every drawer, every breath. You've wandered the shop not to find something, but to remember what you've always had. Stillness, softness, sanctuary. The rain continues. The lamps dim. And somewhere, a record has stopped spinning. But the quiet, it remains, like a friend sitting beside you, saying nothing, but meaning everything. You close your eyes, and the drawer in your chest, the one you've kept locked for so long, opens just slightly, enough for the light to get in, enough for sleep. to finally find you, the shelf that holds the endings. You are no longer just a guest. You are part of the quiet now, part of the space between creaking floorboards, part of the way the rain slides down the windows without hurry. The shop breathes with you, and you feel it. A final invitation, not a goodbye, just a soft hand on the shoulder, a knowing look that says, there's one more place to see, if you'd like. You rise. The chair doesn't creak. It simply releases you, like it knows you'll return. You walk slowly toward the back of the shop, but this time the room opens to your right. A part of the wall folds back, revealing a narrow space you hadn't seen before. You step into it, and there, bathed in the dim glow of a single pendant lamp hanging like a moon overhead, is a shelf, not tall, not wide, but heavy, with presence. Its wooden surface is worn, its corners smooth, its grooves deep and old. Above it, carved into the wall in looping script, the shelf of endings. You stand before it for a moment, not in hesitation, but in reverence. This is where stories go when they're ready to sleep, not to be closed, not to be forgotten, but to be honored. On the shelf rest a dozen or so books, each a different size, a different color, their spines soft with use. You reach for one. It's bound in blue-gray fabric, edges slightly frayed. You open it. Inside, a single page. It reads, "This is where I let go of what never needed to be mine." You breathe in and out. The page turns itself. This is where I stopped rewriting the past and started holding the present. One more page. This is where I learned that closure isn't a door that slams shut. It's a window you quietly open when you're ready to breathe again. You close the book, gently, return it to the shelf. You reach for another. This one is smaller, leather bound, warm in your hands. Inside, this is where the love stayed even after they left. You place that one back too. The titles of these books don't appear on the outside. They are not for display. They are for remembering. You move down the shelf slowly, running your fingers along the spines. Each one hums softly, like a lullaby you don't need to hear to feel. At the end of the shelf, an empty space, just wide enough for one more book, and beside it, on a small pedestal, a blank journal, waiting. You sit on the low bench in front of the shelf, pick up the journal, open it. The pages are soft, cream-colored, inviting, and the moment your fingers brush the paper, the first words appear. You didn't write them, but they came from you. This is where I rest. You pause. Another line follows, not because the story is over, but because it deserves a quiet night. More lines. This is where I forgive what didn't happen, where I thank what did, where I stop asking and start allowing. You keep reading as the page fills itself, as if the shop already knew what your soul wanted to say. The final words appear slowly, deliberately. This is not the end of everything, just the soft closing of one chapter so the next can begin in stillness. You close the book, place it gently into the empty space on the shelf, and as you do, the lamp above you flickers once, then brightens, just a little, like a nod, like a thank you. You rise, and the shelf no longer feels heavy. It feels complete. The room behind you fades. The floor grows warmer, and as you step out of the hallway, back into the familiar comfort of the main room, you feel lighter, not because you've left anything behind, but because you've chosen to carry it in a different way, with softness, with space, with peace. The chair is still waiting. You return to it, curl beneath the blanket, sink into the fabric. Let your breath move like the tide, slow, steady, always coming home. You stare at the ceiling for a while. There's nothing there, and yet you feel watched, not by eyes, but by warmth, by memory, by quiet approval, by everything you've seen and everything you've let see you. The shop is still now. Even the rain has paused, just for a moment, as if to give you space to let it all settle. You close your eyes. Let your arms go limp. Let your thoughts wander like dust in the light. And deep within your chest, a door you didn't know was there opens quietly. No one walks through. Nothing enters or leaves. It just opens. And that, tonight, is enough. The window that watches back. The rain has returned. Not as a storm, not as a whisper, just a soft, even rhythm, like fingers drumming quietly against the glass, like a thought tapping to see if you're still awake. You are, but only barely. The chair holds you so deeply now, you can barely tell where your body ends and the quiet begins. The bookshop is dim, but not dark. Everything glows faintly, like the way memory looks when you try to recall it just before sleep takes it away. And then you open your eyes, just a little, not to leave the dream, just to notice it more clearly. Across the room, a window, large, round, different from the others. It faces no particular direction. It doesn't let in light. It lets in time. You rise slowly. The blanket slips to your lap. You push yourself to your feet, like someone standing in a chapel, not out of urgency, out of reverence. You cross the room, feet brushing lightly over a rug that has held hundreds of quiet visitors before you. The rain patters gently on the glass, but something about this window feels alive, not in a haunting way, in a listening way. You step closer, place your fingertips on the cool surface, and the glass responds, not with movement, not with sound, with reflection, but not of your face, of your moments. The window begins to show you, not as a body, but as a series of scenes. You see a version of yourself sitting in a childhood bedroom, staring out at a world you hadn't yet learned to explain. You see yourself a little older, standing quietly in a room full of people, smiling even though you were tired. You see the morning you let yourself cry over something small, but let it matter. You see the evening you forgave someone, not because they asked, but because you were ready to stop carrying it. And then you see yourself sitting here, now, in this shop, at peace. The window shifts again, and now it shows you what it has seen, not just of you, of everyone. People standing silently, wondering if they were worthy of rest. People sitting in this same chair, breathing like they had never breathed before. People whispering things they had no one else to tell, not for advice, but just so the words could leave their chest. The window holds it all, not like a diary, like a witness, like a friend that never interrupts, like something that's always been looking back without asking to be noticed. You lean your forehead gently against the glass, close your eyes, and listen, not with your ears, with your breath. You don't hear voices, you don't hear answers, you just feel permission to be tired, to be quiet, to not know what comes next. The window does not promise clarity, only presence. And tonight, that's more than enough. You open your eyes again. The reflection is gone now. It's just a window again. Rain, glass, soft shadows dancing beyond the pane. You lift your hand, press your palm flat to the surface, and whisper something. You're not even sure what. Maybe a wish, maybe a thank you, maybe nothing at all. The window listens, then clouds, slightly, not from weather, from warmth. A sign that it heard, that it understands, that it'll hold this for you. You turn from the window. The shop feels even quieter now, but not empty. It's never been empty. You walk slowly back to your chair. It welcomes you once more, like a book that always opens to the right page. You sit, curl your legs beneath you, pull the blanket around your shoulders, and something inside you releases. You don't name it. You don't need to. The moment speaks in silence. You just listen. As you rest again, you wonder how many more rooms there are, how many more shelves, how many more quiet stories this shop has written without ink. You don't feel like you need to see them all. You've seen enough to remember how to sleep again, and that is a story too. One worth being written, one worth being held. Outside, the rain continues. Inside, the shop hums quietly, like a lullaby only silence knows how to sing, and you begin to disappear into the stillness again. not vanish, not forget, just merge with the chair, with the story, with the version of yourself that finally feels safe enough to do nothing at all. The ink that fades. Inward, the bookshop is silent now, in a way it wasn't before, not because sound has left, but because you've matched its stillness. You've entered that rare space where the world no longer expects anything of you, not even waking. You sit quietly in the velvet chair, blanket tucked around you, like a story that's been told too many times to be spoken aloud again. The lamps hum low, the rain continues, as if reading the same sentence over and over, because it's too soothing to leave behind. And just as your body begins to surrender completely to the weightlessness of this moment, the shop shifts again, not the walls, not the floor, something deeper, like an idea surfacing slowly from sleep. You open your eyes just slightly and you see it. A small table now rests across from your chair. You're sure it wasn't there before? On the table, a sheet of paper, an old inkwell, and a pen. No title, no instruction, no pressure, just a quiet invitation. You rise without fully knowing why. Your legs move like you're underwater, like every step has been softened by 100 dreams before it. You sit at the table. The paper is blank, but not empty. It holds a silence that feels ready to be filled. You lift the pen, dip it into the ink, but this time you don't write words. You write weight. You write breath. You write everything you never knew could live in the curve of a line. And as you write, the ink begins to vanish, not right away, but slowly, letter by letter, not disappearing, fading inward, into the paper, into the space between the fibers, into you. You continue writing, not phrases, just impressions, like the moment I forgave someone without telling them. The morning I woke up and didn't dread the day. The time I felt loved just by sitting in the same room. And with each stroke of the pen, your breath grows steadier. The pen grows lighter, the ink thinner, the paper more transparent, until finally there is no writing left, but the page feels full. You place the pen down, and you realize something. Not everything you need to say needs to be remembered. Some things are meant to be released into the space around you, into silence, into softness. The inkwell fades from the table. So does the paper. And finally, the table itself. Not in a flash, not in magic. It simply lets go. Like mist returning to the air. You walk slowly back to the chair. And this time, you don't just sit. You fold into it, melt into it. Your body becomes a paragraph nestled inside a story told only once, but lived again and again by everyone who's ever needed rest. The lamps flicker, and a new light enters the room. But it's not from outside, it's from within, from something you've been holding just under your ribs, a tiny, pulsing reminder that you are still here, still whole, still soft beneath it all. You breathe in, hold, and out. The rain is slower now, as if it, too, is running out of things to say. And for the first time in a long time, your mind does not interrupt. It doesn't ask what's next, doesn't replay, doesn't plan. It listens, not to noise, to peace. And in that peace, you feel one final thing, a closing sentence, not written on a page, written inside you. You've come far enough tonight. You smile because you know there's no need to go further. Not yet. Tonight. This is the ending. Not of the story, just of the waking. And now, you may sleep. Truly. Gently. Completely. The rain that listens, the bookshop, is so quiet now, you wonder if it's fallen asleep with you. The lamps glow in soft halos. The blanket on your lap has molded to you like it was sewn from the night itself. And still, the rain comes, not from above, not from behind the glass. It feels as though it's falling inside the room, but not wet, not cold, only presence, only rhythm. The kind of rain that doesn't ask to be noticed, but notices you. You breathe in. The air is thick with stories, not written, but lived. And for the first time in a long time, you realize you don't have to carry them all. You rise again, but this time slower than before, not because of hesitation, but because your body has learned how to move without rushing. The shop meets you at every step. Its floorboards no longer creak. They hum. The air, no longer still. It sways, and you notice something new. A small door near the window, one that sits unusually low, like it was meant for someone who learned long ago how to walk with care. You kneel beside it, open it slowly. Inside, an alcove, circular, stone, warm with light. At its center, a shallow pool, but it doesn't reflect. It absorbs, not like a mirror, like a listener. You step inside, sit beside it, cross your legs, and close your eyes. You don't need to speak. You don't need to name what's been sitting inside your chest. The rain falling across the surface of the pool seems to do that for you. It taps gently, one drop at a time, and you begin to feel it. The things you've held on to, not regrets, not guilt, just weight, moments that have lived in your shoulders, in your jaw, in the silence between your thoughts. The rain hears them, all of them, and doesn't ask you to explain, only to release. So you do. With every breath out, you let another moment leave. The harsh words you once said in anger, the apology you never got, the version of yourself you no longer need to be. Drop by drop, they fall into the pool, and the water accepts them all, not to erase, but to hold, with compassion, with stillness, with love. You lean forward, dip your fingers into the pool, and for the first time tonight, you feel it. Relief. Not the kind that comes from fixing something, but the kind that comes from being heard. You stay there for a while, eyes closed, heart open, rain falling. The water warms beneath your hand, as if it recognizes you, as if it's been waiting to be touched by your softness. Eventually, you rise, not lighter, not heavier, just balanced, as if the story within you has found a shelf to rest on. You step out of the alcove, close the small door behind you, and pause for a moment, your hand resting gently on the handle. You whisper something, you're not even sure what. A word, maybe, or just a breath. The door hears it. That's enough. You walk slowly back across the shop. Everything looks just as it did, but feels completely changed. The shelves nod silently as you pass. The floor sways like a lullaby. And when you return to the velvet chair, you don't sit. You sink, as if the air itself is tired too, and you're giving it permission to rest. The rain has grown softer. You barely hear it now, but you feel it. The kind of sound that nestles into the corners of a room, of a body, of a soul. It doesn't ask for closure. It just stays long enough for you to forget it's even there, until it becomes part of you. You close your eyes, and the bookshop once again wraps around you, not with walls, but with safety, with memory, with sleep. The shelf that doesn't close. The rain has become a whisper now, not outside, inside you. A rhythm your breath has adopted, a feeling your body no longer questions. You rest again in the velvet chair, but this time you don't even feel your weight. Only warmth, only the slow drift inward that happens when a soul finally realizes it's safe to let go. And just as your thoughts begin to thin, like pages turning in a wind you can't see, you feel one last invitation. Not a sound, not a word, just a hush that asks, would you like to see the shelf that never closes? You stand slowly, this time without thinking. Your body knows the path. It's not a walk, it's a remembering. You pass the window that watched you. You pass the table where the ink faded inward. You pass the rain pool that listened. And then, beneath the farthest arch of the shop, you find it, the shelf. It doesn't call attention to itself. No sign, no glow, no frame, just a single wooden beam built into the wall, low enough to reach without effort, tall enough to feel timeless. It holds only 4 books, each one bound in black cloth. No titles, no labels, no dust, only a small wooden plaque placed beside them, with a line carved so faintly you almost miss it. You lean in and read. These are the stories that continue, even when the reader closes their eyes. You reach for the first book. It opens easily. Inside, no printed words, only light handwriting, some pages full, some nearly blank. The ink shifts slightly as you tilt the page, like it's still drying, like it's being written now. You read, "The way they smiled that morning." I still think of it when the rain begins. Next page, "He never said goodbye, but I don't think he needed to." His coffee cup was turned toward the door. You pause. Turn more pages. I found a photo of her handwriting. It was just a grocery list, but it made me cry. You don't know whose memories these are, but they feel like they could be yours, or anyone's, or everyone's. You place the book back gently. You don't need to finish it, because stories like these don't end. They simply wait for someone to come back and remember them. You open the second book. This one is softer to the touch. Its pages thinner, more fragile. Inside, you find drawings, sketches, doodles, tiny images scribbled in corners, a set of stairs with no end, a cloud with arms holding a small house, a bookshelf with hearts instead of titles, and in the middle of a 2-page spread, a sleeping figure curled inside an open book. You recognize the figure, not visually, but emotionally. It's you. It's always been you. You run your fingers lightly across the page. The image doesn't fade, but it does shift, slightly, as if it acknowledges your touch. You close the book, and it hums softly in your hands before you return it to the shelf. The third book is heavier. Its spine creaks a little. It smells of cinnamon and ash. Inside, poems, short, unrhymed, barely a breath each. You read aloud, barely a whisper. "Today, I forgave myself for not remembering the last thing we said." Another, "The sky didn't fall today. It just leaned in and asked if I was okay." And, "No one noticed the way I softened when the wind changed. But I did, and that was enough." You close the book with both hands. Hold it to your chest for a long moment, then place it back. Your fingers linger on the spine long after it's returned to its place. One last book, the fourth. You lift it slowly. It's lighter than the others. Inside, nothing. No words, no marks, no signs, just blank pages. But the longer you look, the more you see. Not text, texture, faint impressions, indentations left by a pen never dipped in ink. You tilt the book toward the lamplight, and suddenly you see your own words. On every page, things you've thought but never said, kindnesses you've offered and quickly forgotten, grief you never named, wonder you never shared. Every page, a quiet conversation between who you were and who you're becoming. You don't need to write anything in it. You've already lived it. You close the book gently, return it to the shelf, and step back. The plaque, beneath the shelf seems to glow faintly now, as if it, too, is satisfied, as if you've become part of something you didn't know you belonged to, a living archive of softness, of slowness, of small moments that never asked for recognition, but matter anyway. You return to the center of the shop. The chair is still waiting. You sit for the last time tonight, not because the story has ended, but because it's settled, like rain easing into the soil, like ink drying into paper, like breath slowing to silence. You lean back, pull the blanket around you, and finally close your eyes. The shop grows quiet, and the story continues. Inside you, always, the silence that remembers the rain still falls. You can hear it, but only in the way you hear your own heartbeat when the room is perfectly still. It's not something outside you anymore. It's something within, a rhythm. Remembering, the shop doesn't move, but you feel something shifting, not in space, in meaning. The shelves are exactly where they were. The lamp still hums. The velvet chair still holds your shape. And yet, it feels like something is preparing to close. Not the shop, not the night. Just this moment, this chapter. The one that cradled you in stillness, that wrapped you in hush, that offered you nothing but rest. And now, even that is enough. You don't rise this time. You stay seated, not because you're tired, because movement feels unnecessary. Everything that was meant to be seen has been seen. Everything that needed to be felt has softened. So you stay, and the shop stays with you. The lamp flickers, the blanket sighs, and just when you think all is still, you hear it. A sound so faint, you almost think it came from your imagination. A breath, not yours. A page, turning. Somewhere in the shop, a book opens itself. Not for you to read, for you to be written into. You close your eyes again, not from sleepiness, but from trust. You no longer need to see what the shop is offering. You know what it holds. A story without noise, without hurry, without endings. Only continuation, only softness. Only space is wide enough for all the feelings you once tried to shrink. You rest, not like someone falling asleep, like someone returning to stillness, to safety, to self. Time no longer passes here, because passing implies distance, and here there is only closeness, to breath, to silence, to something deeper than thought. You begin to fade now, not disappear, but dissolve into the fabric of the story you didn't know you needed. The bookshop does not speak, but it remembers. And now, you are part of what it remembers. Your sigh, your footfall, the letter you opened, the book you didn't finish, the teacup you never lifted, the moment you looked at the rain and didn't look away. These things stay, even when you go. And then, without any sound at all, a window opens, not wide, not suddenly, just enough to let in a breeze that carries the scent of the morning that will follow this night. Not yet, but soon. You feel it on your cheek, cool, kind, forgiving. It doesn't rush you, it only reminds you this moment will wait. But the world will too. When you're ready, you press deeper into the chair. Let the blanket become the weight of sleep. Let the lamp's hum become your heartbeat. Let the story end, not because it's finished, but because it doesn't need to continue to be complete. It simply needs to rest. Like you, there are no final lines, only the sound of your breath, the rain, and the pages still turning. Somewhere, far inside the shop, far inside you, the story goes on, even now, even here, even as your eyes drift closed for the last time tonight. Good night, reader. You are safe. You are remembered. You are home. The dust that shines, you would think a story had ended by now. That 30 chapters of softness, of slowness, of candlelight and rain had completed their quiet work. But the bookshop knows better. It knows there are some visitors who need just a little more time before they rise. And you are one of them. You haven't left the chair. Your body is perfectly still. So still, it feels as though the world has settled around you. And yet, you sense it again. Not urgency, not invitation, just permission to go deeper, to see one more corner, to witness something that few others have noticed. You open your eyes slowly. The air has thickened slightly, not with cold, not with smoke, with memory, and just beyond the far bookshelf, the one near the front window, the one that's always half shadowed, you see it, light, not glowing, drifting, dust, not the kind you wipe away, the kind that holds old stories, waiting for breath to bring them to life again. You rise, blanket still draped across your shoulders, feet soft against the wood. The lamps remain low, the rain stays slow, but your heart, it stirs now with something new, a longing without shape. You walk toward the light. The dust dances as you approach, not away from you, toward you, drawn somehow to your quiet, to your readiness. It gathers just above a small writing desk built into the wall behind the shelf. You're not sure how you missed it before, or maybe it wasn't ready to be seen. You brush your hand across the desktop. The dust doesn't scatter. It glows, a soft shimmer, like gold barely remembered. And as it swirls, you begin to see something underneath. Words, scratched faintly into the wood. You lean closer and read. Stories are made of dust, but the ones that stay, they shine. You sit at the desk, and the dust settles around you, not like debris, but like old friends finding their place again. On the surface of the desk, a single object reveals itself. A small bottle of oil, clear, corked, resting on a folded cloth. You lift it gently. As you do, the dust responds. It lifts, spirals, glows a little brighter. You don't open the bottle, you simply hold it, and in doing so, memories begin to rise, not from your mind, from the room, from the shelf behind you, from the corners of the shop where moments once lingered and then were left behind. You see them, flashes, someone holding a book with trembling hands, someone sitting at the desk writing a letter they'd never send, a child hiding beneath the table, eyes wide, hugging a story too big to tell out loud, and all of them covered in dust that shimmered only when they stopped moving, only when they let themselves be still. Just like you, you set the bottle back down, fold the cloth gently, slide it beneath the desk again. You don't need to take anything from this place, because everything it gave you has already found a home inside your breath. You rise again. The dust floats softly to the floor, resting like snow, but glowing still, because now it remembers being seen. You walk back toward the center of the shop. Everything looks the same, but everything feels changed, not grandly, just quietly, like a thread inside your chest has been untangled, and in its place, a softness, a space, a hush. You sit once more, and the chair welcomes you like it's been waiting for this exact version of you, the one who listened longer, the one who saw the dust and didn't brush it away. You close your eyes again, and this time you sleep without drifting, without dreaming, just resting, like light settling, like dust that shines. The book without pages, you are deeper now than you've ever been, not asleep, not quite awake. You exist somewhere in between, in the hush that stories leave behind when the words run out. But the meaning remains. The rain is steady again, soft, like fabric, like fingers brushing across old paper. The shop, too, is softer. It doesn't hum. It holds, as though it knows you are nearing something sacred. Not an ending, not a beginning. Something older, something quiet. You feel it before you see it. A pull, not from your body, but from your breath, from the part of you that has always been listening for wonder. You open your eyes. There it is, a pedestal in the farthest corner of the room, so faint in its presence that it feels almost shy. It wasn't there before, but the shop doesn't operate in time. It opens spaces when hearts become still enough to notice them. You rise again, this time slower than ever. You're not walking, you are floating toward what already knows you. The pedestal is carved from deep wood, its edges smooth, its surface empty, except for one book, but it's not like the others. There is no spine, No cover art, no weight, just a single object, perfectly square, perfectly silent, and when you reach for it, you find something strange. It doesn't open, not in the way you expect. You sit on the rug before it. Place the book gently in your lap. It's warm, not hot, not from the room, from memory, from the hands that once held it, from the lives it has lived, from the silence it has carried. You try again to open it. It doesn't resist, but it doesn't reveal anything either. No pages, no ink, no story, and yet you feel full, as though it's telling you something not with text, but with presence. You run your hands across its surface, and as you do, you feel the book breathe, not with lungs, but with knowing. Suddenly, you understand. This is not a book meant to be read. It is a book that reads you. Each time you hold it, each time you breathe near it, it records something, not a quote, not a fact, feeling. You lean forward, close your eyes, and in your chest, a warmth begins to rise, and in the book, a shape forms, not words, light, just enough to tell you it's heard you, it's seen you, it remembers. You hold the book close, press your forehead to its cover, not out of reverence, out of recognition. This book is everything you never said out loud, every kindness you gave quietly, every moment you wished had lingered just a little longer. This book holds no pages because it doesn't need them. It holds you, and now you're ready to return it. You rise, place it gently back on the pedestal, and for a moment, the air stills. The entire bookshop pauses, as if bowing to what just happened. You turn, walk softly back to the velvet chair. Sit. Let your hands rest in your lap. Let your breath return to the slow rhythm of the rain. You do not need to remember the book. It remembers you. And now, as your eyes close again, you feel something new. Oh, quiet within a quiet. A peace you didn't even know you were seeking. You let go. You let it hold you. You rest. Because you've given the story everything it needed. And it, in return, has given you back to yourself. The whisper behind the door. Chair holds you gently, not like furniture, but like memory. You've traveled so far without ever leaving this room, through letters that never arrived, through music no one else could hear, through dust that shimmered only when you breathed beside it. And now, something changes again. You feel it before you hear it. A shift in the air, like the bookshop has inhaled, waiting, not in suspense, in reverence. You rise slowly, not because there's somewhere to go, but because something has waited long enough. You walk to the farthest wall, the rain behind you, the shelves beside you, the silence ahead of you, and then You see it, a door, plain, unadorned, as quiet as sleep, but at its base, a glow, and from behind it, a whisper, not spoken, felt. You reach for the knob. It's warm, smoothed with age, shaped like a question. You don't ask what's behind it, you just listen, and then you open it, slowly. It creaks, not sharply, like old wood, remembering. Beyond it, a small room, circular, lit by nothing but the glow of something unseen. No shelves, no books, only walls. And in the center, a small table and a candle, unlit. You step inside, and as you do, you hear the whisper again, this time inside your chest. It says, "This is the room for what was never spoken." You pause. You sit on the small cushion by the table, and you close your eyes. The air is thick, but not heavy, like warmth after tears, like the hush after someone finally says, "I understand." You place your hands gently on the table, and without opening your eyes, you begin to feel them, all the things you never said, the moments you turned inward, the love you carried quietly. They rise now, not loudly, one by one, soft, patient, willing to be seen. You don't speak them aloud. You don't have to. The whisper hears them and holds them. The candle lights itself, soft flame, small, steady. It doesn't flicker. It doesn't burn high. It glows with the exact shape of your breath. And in its glow, you begin to feel lighter, not because something left you, but because something inside you was finally allowed to rest. You sit in the silence for as long as it needs you, and when you rise, you don't take anything with you. You don't need to, because the whisper says one final thing. It's okay now. You step out of the room, close the door behind you, and in doing so, you feel it close in your chest too, not as a lock, as a promise that the unspoken things are still part of the story. Even when they stay quiet, you return to the center of the shop, the chair, the rain, the hush, and this time you do not carry anything with you. Only breath, only stillness, only the peace that came from being heard, without ever needing to explain. The quiet at the center, you are still, and now, so is the shop, not asleep, not waiting, present, completely. The rain outside has softened to the faintest hush, so faint you only know it's there because your body remembers the rhythm. The lamps remain lit, but not for light, for company. They glow now like companions, not asking anything, not guiding anywhere, just there. You sit quietly in the velvet chair, blanket around your shoulders, feet curled beneath you, and for the first time, you realize you are no longer just a visitor. You are part of this place. Your breath is one of its sounds, your silence is one of its shelves. You are the quiet at the center of the story. No doors open this time. No books call for you. No whispers stir from far off rooms. Because everything that needed to arrive has arrived. Everything that needed to be felt has been held. And now you are simply here. The shop doesn't fade. It settles like a snow globe that has finally stopped turning, its glitter falling slowly into stillness. And as you sit, you feel the pages inside you closing, not shutting, not ending, just folding gently like petals at night, like eyes ready to rest. Somewhere, you hear the soft clink of a teacup, the creak of a stair you never climbed. But these aren't invitations anymore. They are echoes, not calling you away, reminding you where you've been. You glance around the room one last time. The desk, the window, the wall of letters, the small door to the listening pool, the shelf that holds the endings, all still here, all still glowing. But now you do not feel the need to visit them again, not because they are finished, because you are. For now, you breathe in. Feel your lungs stretch in gratitude. Feel your shoulders sink. And as you exhale, the entire shop exhales with you. It's as if everything agrees. You've done enough. You don't need more stories tonight. You are one. And like every beautiful, necessary story, this one was not meant to be understood completely, only felt, only trusted, only followed, until your eyes grow too heavy to read another word. The lamps dim slightly, the windows blur, the velvet beneath you becomes weightless, and the shop no longer holds you. You hold it inside your breath, inside your quiet, inside the version of you that you almost forgot was there. The one who needs nothing, the one who asks for nothing, the one who simply is. You close your eyes again, not because you must, but because there's nothing more to see tonight. Not because the story is over, but because it will continue without you and welcome you back whenever you're ready. Until then, you sleep, and the bookshop sleeps with you, still, soft, glowing, always, the shop within you. The door closes behind you with no sound. There is no final click, no gust of wind, just a softness, like something folding itself gently away, not to vanish, but to be carried. The world outside greets you with quiet light, not sunrise, not brightness, just the hush of morning that hasn't yet learned to speak. The air is cool, not cold, alive, and beneath your feet the stone is damp, not from storm, but from memory. You take a step, then another, and as you do, you realize something extraordinary. The bookshop, it's still with you. You don't feel the weight of it. You feel the shape, the shelves behind your ribs, the velvet chair beneath your breath, the letters tucked like folded thoughts between heartbeats, and the rain, you still hear it, but now only when you're still enough to listen. You walk slowly down a path that wasn't there before. It leads through trees that sway as though they've heard your story and chosen to stay quiet about it. The leaves above you filter the light like pages in a book you've already read, but would read again, just to feel something again. And as you move through the woods, you find no signs, no clocks, no names, no instructions, only space and breath, and the knowing that there is nowhere you must be right now. Only here, only this. You sit on a stone. The moss welcomes you. Your hands rest gently on your knees. You close your eyes again, and this time, the shop returns, not behind your eyelids. Within, you see the lanterns. You see the guest book. You see the dust that shimmered when you stopped running. But more than that, you feel how much of it was never furniture, never setting. It was always emotion. It was always memory disguised as objects. It was always you. You stay there a long while, long enough to feel the stillness settle in your bones, long enough for silence to become familiar again, long enough for the world outside to match the world within. Eventually, you open your eyes. The trees haven't changed, but you have, not in appearance, in softness, in the way your shoulders have dropped, in the way your breath no longer asks for more space, because it knows there's enough now, always has been. You stand, you walk again, not back to the bookshop, not away from it, with it, because now it lives inside you, and whenever you need it, when the world becomes too loud, too fast, too much, you'll close your eyes and return to the rain, to the lamp, to the letter, to the breath, and the shop will be there, as it always was, as it always will be. Good night.